ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. So we saw, I think, the first 5 verses of the ninth verse.
Swamiji,
Yeah,
I just wanted to make a point.
yeah.
Today, no, is the last day for the Zoom update. It has to be updated to 5. Then only we will be able to access these classes. So I think many of in the group might not be aware.
Updated to.
So the Zoom thing
Yeah, you will either you already have the updated version, or you will get a alert saying updated करके.
Right.
So when you get that alert, update it. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, clarifications?
No, Swamiji.
All clear up to now?
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. Now remember this whole section, this whole ninth verse is in Upasana. Okay? You are presenting the Upasana on Ishvara, Saguna Brahma, with the relationship of individual and total, as an aid, a means to understand that I am everything. The statement I am everything is made from the standpoint of the reality I as consciousness. It is not made from any functional standpoint at all. But what prevents us from recognizing that is this identification with my body and mind as a separate, independent, limited being. For normal, effective functioning, we need this identification that this body and mind, I am, and therefore I will function. For normal functioning, we require this. Actually speaking, more competent function happens when you understand them as mere instruments. Antakarnam, Bahirskarnam. Instrument inside, outside body. Actually speaking, a functioning is better. But most people, for functioning, you require this identification. Because this identification becomes necessary for functioning, my identity is very strong. And we do a lot of work to enhance our functioning, and in the process strengthen this identity. Even for psychological health, certain things that we do, like the question of self-love, etc., becomes not loving the all-pervading self, is loving this body, this mind or mind. Therefore, it only strengthens this identity. And now, you have to shift your identity to pure consciousness, and that consciousness is everything. Shifting to the fact I am consciousness is not that difficult. Even though your body identity, etc., can be strong, that shift to that much is not that difficult. But that this consciousness is everything, I am everything, Sarvatma Bhava as we call it, that is where the difficulty comes. Because if you just say I am consciousness and you are still functioning with your body identity, etc., manageable. Manageable. But to say that I am everything, to say that I am everything is not that easy. The Sarvatma Bhava is not easy. Therefore, what is he doing in this verse? In this verse, he is accepting your body identity, your identity with your Sukshma Sharira and your body. And in the process of Upasana, making you see that it is a part of a larger whole. It's a halfway house that way. That it is part of a larger whole. What was that exercise I asked you all to do last time? For the week I had given you all some exercise. Yaad hai?
Yes, Swamiji. That you are the part of the whole. You see your body and mind as the part.
Especially
of,
your body, yes.
The whole universe.
Did anybody try it out?
Yes.
What is your feeling?
I do see that everything is a manifestation of Ishvara, including me, and it's all. If you see the order, it's all interconnected. If you see Ishvara's order, everything is.
Not easy, you know. Not easy. Because this is not an intellectual block. It's not a block coming from a questioning mind. This is a block that's coming from your conditionings. Your conditioning that I am the body, mind, etc. You will give a lot of arguments, intellectual arguments to say that it is not, you are not body, mind, etc. You will be able to do that. Now that you have studied for so many years, if you can't do that, at least present a logical argument why you are not the body, mind, etc., then I wonder what we are doing in the class. I'm sure all of you can do that. That is not a problem.
Swamiji, I had to ask something in this. Can I ask now or at the end?
Okay, ask the question. What is it?
No, when I tried to do that, I'm not the body and the mind. I could see that I was finding it difficult to see the.
One second. You are not clear. Just let me put on something to make it, to help understand it clearer. Okay, where is it gone? Okay, now ask that please. Okay, all right. The argument is, you've been elaborate about it, but basically it's a question of irresponsible behavior on the part of some people, making it difficult for you to think that I am everything. In fact, if you notice, last time I had not asked you to think that you are everything. I was taking it step by step. I was asking you all to recognize the fact that your body is part of everything, of the whole universe. At the physical level only I had asked you all. Number one. Therefore, there is a part and whole relationship as far as the body is concerned. I was only saying that much. That's why it has to be taken step by step. Here we'll see a couple of more steps in the class today. But let us put it this way. These people are rebelling against the lockdown rules. I may not agree with some of the lockdown rules, but this is the elected government that is imposing these rules. As a citizen, I will follow it. Okay, as a citizen, I will follow. That should be the normal behavior of any responsible citizen. If I want to protest against it, follow peaceful lines of protest. The condition in the country right now is not conducive for even peaceful protest, because we are in a pandemic situation. It is like saying all freedom, including protest, should be allowed in wartime. It cannot be. The very fact that there is an emergency around, even though a state of emergency has not been declared, I mean, the government could have easily done that and taken over everything and done everything. The pandemic would be over like that. But it's a democratic government, therefore they have not done that. He could have done. For a far lesser reason, Indira Gandhi did it in 1976. But the government has not done that. So the government is relying on the sense of responsibility of the citizens to do it, and some of them are not doing it. Correct? This is the situation which is upsetting you. So you have to go back to basics, because you may not be able to convince them. Even if you say, I am a doctor and I am telling you, they may not listen to you. Not because they don't know, but because they don't want to. They're becoming rebellious. Now when you are in your teens and your 20s, if you are not rebellious, there's something wrong with your heart. If you are continuing the rebellion into your 40s and 50s, there is something wrong with your head. So obviously, these people have something wrong with their head, because they are not kids. They are not in their teens or 20s. So, going back to basics, what is the one quality you need to have with respect to people in the Shat Sampatti? No. Accommodate. Samadhanam. Accommodation. When I am in a good mood, I have compassion for these people. When I am not in that good a mood, I have pity for these people. No. I won't say I am in a bad mood, because I am rarely in a bad mood. Okay? But when I am not in that good a mood, I have pity for them. And when I am in a good mood, I have compassion for them. Okay? Because they are being idiotic. They are being idiotic. You could go make a complaint to the local police. That's part of the accommodation. Okay? Saying that these people are regularly coming here and breaking rules. You could do that. That's part of your game. You're a doctor in that area. All it will require is one phone call from a doctor coming. They'll take it seriously. That these people are a risk for everyone. They will take it seriously. As it is, any lockdown complaints, the police are taking it very seriously. Do that. Accommodate them. and do what you think is necessary. Except that these people are being rebellious, they are being foolish, they are being stupid. Anyway, officially from June 8th, the lockdown is supposed to be technically over. Okay? Some social distancing will be necessary, some mask, etc. will be necessary, but that is all. Supposed to be, unless the local government is too scared to ease of the lockdown. That factor is always there. Governments are supposed to take courageous decisions, not decisions out of fear. Okay? But government is made up of human beings, and human beings are scared. Therefore, some of the decisions will come out of fear. Everyone cannot be a Modi anyway. That apart. Therefore, some accommodation and this. If you have that, Sarvatma Bhava, etc. is Bahuduram if accommodation is not there. If I cannot respect the fact that people will be like what they are. And if I think that's a social issue, follow the legal process available. Yeah. Accept situations for what it is and do what you can about it. Basis of Karma Yoga. Accept what is there, do what you can about it. Straight away trying to jump to Sarvatma Bhava, not possible. Nor can you manipulate the whole world as what you want and say, now I am everything. Nobody can. That's what the definition of a control freak is. Trying to manipulate everything so that I am happy. That's a control freak. It doesn't work. So, first, Karma Yoga Buddhi. Yeah, first, this Karma Yoga Buddhi. This is how you handle their emotional condition. Karma Yoga Buddhi will help you deal with the outside world enough to prevent it from disturbing you too much. That basic samatvam you will have. Basic. Samatvam yoga muchyate, that much will be there. So that much will be taken care of. Then, this emotional conditioning, I am the body. As I said, one way is to, and a good way, factual, is to see the body only as an instrument, not me. Swamiji, I see that it's an instrument only. I'll give you enough logic. No. This is not merely logical. The logic is necessary to convince here. How will you convince your heart? Remember the old statement, what has gone into the head has to sink to the heart. Now, how will it sink to the heart? One is sudden little contemplation about it, sitting down and thinking of various arguments, various things, why you are independent of the body and body is only an instrument in your hands. This is where books like Viveka Chudamani will help. Not the shortened 100-verse version, the elaborate 581 or 592 verses version of it, elaborate version of it. 30 verses why I am not the body. 30 verses. You have to sit down and mull over it. The argument is very easy. Swamiji, 30 verses I finished in one day. No. That's not how to read that book. You take 3-4 verses and you keep mulling over it. Mulling. That's the way to study that book. Especially when it comes to I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not all that thing. Keep mulling over those verses. It's a simple book. Viveka Chudamani is a simple book you can read and understand on your own. I did that before I joined the ashram. And I got great insights into the whole thing before joining the ashram itself. Because in 1974, in Chembur we had organized Pujya Swami Dayananji's talks. So naturally all of us, we are young and we are volunteers. Okay. Helping with the whole organizing and everything. And at the end of the lecture, Pujya Swamiji gave all the volunteers a copy of the Viveka Chudamani. great book, simple book. Logic is simple, but value structure is high. So, read books like this. Mull over these arguments. Mull over these arguments. Push your body. Push your body. Your body is an instrument, no? Supposing I ask you to hit the table with your hand, how hard will you hit? Not very hard, because the hand is paining. Supposing I ask you to hit with a hammer, you can go bang, 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 no? Why? Your hand is not paining the hammer, no? As some people say, Swamiji, my hand is also paining because the referred pain, with the referred force from there, transmitted force comes to my hand is paining. Okay. No, push your body beyond its limits to say, hey, I am the boss, not you. Push your body a little bit. Here is where sports will help. Here is where any exercise system will help, because you have to push yourself. Here is where yoga will help. You're doing Bhujangasana. Come on, you're supposed to raise your upper body from the ground so that it resembles the head of a snake looking up. Your body is moving only 3 inches. Then the yoga teacher should not say, very good, you're making good effort. The yoga teacher should say, what is that? Are you a python or a cobra? A lazy lump of a python lying on the ground. Come on, lift that body up. Use your hands initially if you want to. Push it. No, Swamiji, Sukham Sthiram Asanam. Yeah, you have to take it to its full position and make it yourself comfortable and steady in that. That is called Sukham Sthiram Asanam. Not doing it 2 inches and saying, I'm okay. So push. It'll help. Body is an instrument. I can make it do what I want it to do. I can make it do. Of course, see that you don't get up into injuries and everything like that. But even some small minor injury is okay. Why? Why are you so bothered about getting hurt? You're not the body anyway. No. If I seriously injure, I'm talking of minor injuries, not serious. I'm not asking you to jump out of the 2nd floor window. Though you can, without killing yourself. But I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, Bhujangasanam, push yourself a little bit. That's all. That's all. I'm not asking you to hit that wooden block and break it with your bare hands. Though we do it. We do it. We train enough so that one punch it goes through that block. As we say in martial arts, that your hand should not be scared about that block. That block should be scared about your hand. That's what proves, hey, the body is only an instrument, not you. Because how else are you going to break conditioning? All the time you are pampering your body. I want to be comfortable. It is hot. AC. Switch off the AC. Switch it off. Like right now in this room, I have not put on the AC. It's okay. Agni Nakshatram is over anyway. Fan is enough. Switch off the fans also and try. Learn to be comfortable. We are pampering our body so much. Yeah. Don't pamper. These are all baby steps. Baby steps? Yeah, baby steps. Then he is talking about the Upasana here. Where you see this body, this is what I asked you all to do last time, but I don't think people got what I am asking. That this body is part of the whole universe. And see how you feel about it. If you had done that, these coming verses will be more meaningful. Your body is part of the universe. See how changes in the universe will affect your body, and how changes in your body will affect your immediate environment. This is one thing that you have to see what's happening, because each person's body and their relationship with the environment is different. There is some things common because we are human beings, and there are some things which are different because we are unique individuals. So see that. Okay, try that. Any other questions before I go ahead? Any questions? Or no? No questions? Okay. Okay. If you are clear, let me go ahead. Okay. The fifth verse we had seen. Yes. Therefore, the individual body to be regarded as one with the cosmos, the universe. Okay. व्यष्टि उपासनया पुंसः समष्टि व्याप्तिम् आप्नुयात् उपसंक्रमातीत्येवं दश कृत्वा उपादिशत्. व्यष्टि उपासनया पुंसः, पुंसा the person doing the व्यष्टि upasana, samashti vyaptim apnuyat, he will see that this vyashti individual is part of the samashti total. Upasankramati tevam dashakrutva upadishat. Okay, and he says finally, if that much is seen, that you are part of the universe is seen, then upasankramati tevam, then that part and whole relationship also upasamkramati, he crosses over. Dashakritva upadishat, 10 times it has been said in the Shruti. 10 times is just a number, okay? Meaning plenty of times, like you say, a dozen times I told you, 100 times I told you. Not that literally you sat down and counted how many times you said. Similarly here, just 10 times it has been said, meaning a lot of times it has been said. Why? Because for you to directly take that jump, I am everything, is difficult. If it is easy for you, you don't need all this. If it is easy for you, you don't need all this. But if it is not possible, then have this halfway house of part and whole. Because you started by saying, I am different, I am independent from everything. I am different from the universe. I am different, I am independent. I have to conquer the nature. You started with that. That is westernized thinking. I have to conquer nature. Eastern thinking, all over the Orient, is I have to live in harmony with nature. There are aberrations in some places in China and all that. Okay. Those are aberrations. Okay. But generally, Oriental thinking is you have to live in harmony with nature. Okay. Therefore, once you see you are part of the whole, the next step that I am the whole is easier. So he's giving you a halfway house. It's a halfway house for you to say that I am part of the whole. That's all he says. Now, he's following a paradigm here. The paradigm is common in books on yoga, tantra, shivagama, qigong, all energy work paradigms. Okay, all energy work paradigms. It's a particular paradigm is following. I will explain enough for you all to understand the paradigm, but not enough of the practices. The practices have to be done one-to-one with the teacher. I will mention a few things, but that won't give you enough to be able to practice anything. Okay? If anyone wants to practice these things, that's separate. We will do that separately. Okay? But this is, and I don't encourage that so much because this ends up in siddhis and things like that. You don't want to push it that much. You only want to see you're part of the whole. So, I am part of the whole can be seen in different ways. Okay? Using different paradigms. You can use scientific paradigms and see you are part of the whole. Though science really does not talk about the mind so much, other than mind being nothing but an information organizing function of the brain. Beyond that, it doesn't really talk about. But even then, using those paradigms, we can talk about it. Okay? But here, let us see the paradigm that Sureshwara is using. Okay. It will go a little bit. Okay. Now, some people in our tradition say these things don't exist because he's talking about the 7 chakras and things like that. Because why such chakras? Because they are part of the Sukshma Sharira. They are not part of the Sthula Sharira. Therefore, many people, scientists, medical professionals, etc., will say these things don't exist. Now, what to talk about a discipline that does not fully accept the mind itself as separate from the body? Do these things exist? Yeah, they do. As valid as your thoughts, emotions, etc. As valid as your thoughts, emotions, etc. They have that much of validity. Are they subjective? They are in your mind itself. In fact, they are in every mind. If they are in every mind, how come everybody cannot see it? That's the thing, because it is there in every mind, but it is hidden. Exactly like how there are various levels of self-awareness. In fact, sometimes the person is going through some emotion, but the person himself is not very clear about it. You can see that somebody else has a bias, but that person is not seeing his own bias. Similarly, about yourself, you will always have an unknown side, an unawareful side about yourself. If that is there with respect to emotions, then what do you need to do? You need to develop an objectivity, you need to develop self-awareness, etc., so that you can be aware of these things. Similarly, these are also there in the mind, hidden, not overtly available. Hidden. In fact, you are alive because of all this. And you have to do some exercises, practices, etc., to be able to see them. They are Sakshivetyam. They are like how you see your thoughts. You can see these also. How do you see your thoughts? What pramana do you use to see your thoughts? Please tell me. Can I get an answer? What pramana? Huh? No pramana? Are the thoughts self-evident like the Atma? So Kiran has written here saying Sakshivetyam. It is directly perceived by you without the necessity of a sense organ. Use the proper terminology. If you say self-evident, it will become like the Atma self-evident. No. Atma requires no pramana. Atma itself is the basis for the pramata and the pramana both. Whereas, to know your mind, you the knower, the pramata is necessary. You don't need a sense organs to see it. Understand the difference very clearly. That's why it's called Sakshivetyam. Similarly, these are also Sakshivetyam. They are there in your mind, in your Sukshma Sharira, in the combination of prana and Chittam, it is there, prana and your emotions. It is there. In between prana and manas combination, all these are there. You can see it very clearly, provided you follow these practices, etc. Most of us in Vedanta don't bother about it. But he is using it here as an upasana. Probably Sureshwara himself has done some of these practices when he was a householder before. Okay, he's a great karmata, etc. And in many karmas also you use this, the principle of chakras, etc. Especially when you're doing kumbhabhishekam of a temple and things like that, the priests use these, okay, to energize the linga or to energize the murti, because prana pratishtha has to be done. So the all-pervading prana is there in the murti anyway, isn't it? No. As a deity, it has to be pratishtha there. Therefore, The priests have to use their energy to connect up with the universal and bring it into the deity. They do that. Through the medium of water, they do that. They invoke it in themselves, from themselves to the Kalasha which is worshipped, and from the Kalasha to the Murti. That's how the process goes. And it has to be strengthened by one mandala of pujas after that. Only then the full thing is over and the glory of the deity is manifest there. So these are there. In many of these, this thing, it is there. We and Vedanta don't bother about them. Why? Because our goal is different. Our goal is self-realization. Not to set up a temple. Yeah, my goal is not to set up a temple. My goal is to make people understand what the truth is about. If you put up an ashram, yeah, we'll put up a temple there. There I'll call the proper tantris who will do it. They are available. I know them. They will come and do a good job of it. Yeah. I need not take everything on myself and say, I should do the pratishtha. No, there are people meant for that. I am a sannyasi, therefore I am not supposed to go into those things. Let them do. Let the professionals in the job do. I am sure they will do a great job. If you know good people, they will do a great job. With some effort and everything. Yeah. Therefore, we as Vedantin don't really bother about it. But it's all there. Therefore, Sureshwara is using that model because remember, he was a great Karmata before he became a Vedantin. Therefore, he is familiar with all this. Therefore, he is using these paradigms. Not only familiar, I am sure he practiced some of these things. Okay. Yeah. Okay. ब्रह्मांडस्य उदरे लोकसप्तमभूरादयः स्मृता मूलादि ब्रह्मरन्ध्रारा अन्ते तेषु धारेषु वसन्ति ते. In the Brahmanda, asya udare meaning is heart. Udara means okay, stomach, okay, literally. Okay, in the heart of the thing. Okay. Lokaha saptaha bhuradaya smritaha. There are 7 lokas, 7 dimensions of existence. Bhu, bhuva, suva, maha, jana, tapa, satyam. 7 dimensions of existence. They are dimensions of existence. Loka is a dimension of experience, a dimension of existence. Okay? A particular manifestation, a particular dimension where energy frequency, vibrational frequencies and all are different. 7. That is out there, the whole world, that's the cosmos. Then he said the cosmos is invoked in the individual. Okay? There he says, Mooladi Brahma Radhantre Radha. The Brahma Radha, that is your spine, okay? Anteshu Adhareshu Vasantite. So from Mooladhara to Sahasradhara. In these 7 chakras, the 7 lokas exist. Therefore, the gross one, the Bhu, earth, is supposed to be in the Mooladhara, in your perineum, the root chakra, they call it. Bhuva is the Swadhisthanaha, 2 inches above that, just above your genitals. What is known as the lower dantian in Qigong, etc. Manipurakaha, near your solar plexus. That is the phase of Swaha, heaven. Anahata, your heart chakra. This is supposed to be Mahaha. Vishuddhi chakra, your throat chakra. Vishuddhi is supposed to be Janaha. Ajna, third eye region. Tapaha, Sahasradhara, Satyam. It's an imagery for Upasana. Therefore, the whole cosmos is there in your 7 chakras. That is the totality, this is the individual. This individual is connected with the totality. Not just the physical universe, that I had given you as an exercise last time. Earth, your environment, This he is talking about the universe, 7 dimensions of the universe. 7 dimensions of the universe is saying you are one with the whole thing. Part and whole. Every loka outside corresponds to a chakra in your system. Satyaloka, Tapoloka, Jnanaloka, Mahatloka, Swarloka, Bhuva, Bhuvu, all down. 7 lokas. It's an upasana. So you feel connected with the whole universe, with all the dimensions of existence. Okay? The 7 lokas, the dimensions of existence, you feel connected. This is pure connection. So that the next step is that you, the consciousness is everything, not your connectedness. Here we are talking only about connectedness. Then you have to see the oneness. Oneness is the next step with knowledge as consciousness. Oneness will be when you take the standpoint of consciousness. That is yet to come. He is here now talking only about connectedness with everything. Okay. Then he is giving you other correspondences also. Okay. Then corresponding to your spine, okay, all the chakras, but the chakras are not in your spine. Some idea about it. As I said, I will give you some idea. Okay. The direct connection of the chakras is through the center of your body. From the lowermost point, which is your perineum, to here. Imagine a tube. Imagine a whole tube. The tube generally is only about 1.5 inches in for normal people. For those who do energy work, etc., it can go to 6 inches. Okay. In this tube is all the chakras. But it is not one single tube. Like if you open an electric cable, thick cable, you will find in the cable there are a lot of other cables. In the big cable, black cable that you cut open, in that you will find a lot of other cables. So similarly, in this main channel that's running from the perineum to the Sahasrara, to the top of the head, you will find various other tubes going. One main tube, for whatever want of a word I am using the word tube. Really speaking, that should be nadis. One main nadis and other nadis around it. So he is now giving you an upasana for that also. Veena Dandaha Mahameru Astani Kula Parvataha Ganga tu Pingala Nadi Yamunaida Prakirtita. Veena Dandaha, that is your backbone. That is the main channel going through. Mahameru is a Mahameru. Mahameru is the center point of the whole earth rotating around. Astani Kula Parvataha. And all the bones that make up the backbone are the Kula Parvatas. The others, this thing, Nanda Devi, etc., that is there on the side. Okay. Ganga cha Pingala Nida Yamuna Ida Prakirtita. Then you have the Pingala and the Ida nadis. Two other nadis going side by side. Okay? Side by side. Ida and Pingala side by side, then forward, backward. All that is there. All of them. He says, one is Ganga, Pingala is the Ganga, Yamuna is the Nadi. Pure Upasana. You are just connecting up by association. Sarasati tu Sushumna Uttaha Nadya Nanyaha Punya Nibhagnaha Vipaha Syu Dhatava Saptaha Sveda Bhashaputpadya Yogdayaha Abdaya Sarasati Sushumna Uttaha. The Saraswati which you don't see now. Once upon a time there was a river called the Saraswati. Okay. It was between the Indus and the Ganga. Huge river. mentioned in the Vedas, much bigger than the Indus and the Ganga, much bigger than that. But that became mythology until satellite imagery showed the underground path of that river, because that river is supposed to have sunk into the earth. The story goes it was because of Parshurama's curse. It sunk into the earth. Okay? Yeah. And during Mahabharata times, the Saraswati was available on the surface of the earth as 7 pools of water. But that also went down. Therefore, the civilization that was there between Saraswati and the Indus rivers moved towards the Gangetic plain. That's what happened. Okay? This was what used as the Aryan invasion, etc. The stupidity, not stupidity. Deliberate attempt by the British to split the Indian population. Okay? It was used to split. But this river, Saraswati, was there. Sushumna Uktaha, that's the central channel. The main central channel is the Sushumna Nadi. Okay. And all the other nadis, there are so many. About 12 major ones are there. They are all, only if you are doing energy work, you will come to know about them. Okay? They are all the other sacred rivers that are there flowing through. Because the rivers are the sustainer of life. Why is he making this? You are alive only because of the natural energy flowing in from the cosmic prana through these pranas into your system. If that is cut off, you will not live. If that is cut off, life is over. Naturally, there are some energies flowing into it. Natural. Whether you know it or not, you want it or not, you believe it or not, you are atheistic or not, you dismiss it or not, they are flowing. And that keeps you alive. Natural. You don't have to do anything about it. They are there. Yeah. There are some times when certain nadis are more active, therefore it is beneficial to do some activities with that level. For example, the nadi that supports digestion is active very well during 1 and 3 in the afternoon. That's the time to have your lunch and everything like that. Similarly, the Sushumna nadi, into which the main energy flows through, whether you know it or not, is between 1 and 3 in the night. If you are a great yogi, you can sit in samadhi at that time. Otherwise, shut down everything, go to sleep. Let nature take over and do what nature has to do. Don't go watching the TV at 1 o'clock in the night. No. Don't go on your social media at 1 o'clock. Sleep. So that will be healthy. That will be healthy way of living. But healthy or unhealthy, these things are happening. Why healthier? Because when the Sushumna Nadi is active, everything else is supposed to be inactive. That is supposed to fill itself with energy from the cosmic prana, so that all your functioning can do well. That's why those who don't do that will have a lot of hormonal issues. PCOD and all coming in young children. 20-year-old having PCOD. I mean, come on. First question I ask them is, when do you sleep in the night? So no, maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay. Very clear. Okay. Therefore, all the others are the other sacred rivers. The 7 dhatus, the physical dhatus that make up the body, are the 7 dvipas, because the earth was defined as one of 7 islands. Which is the 7th one? Don't ask me. Maybe Atlantis. Okay. Okay. And Sweda, Bhashpa, Adeyaha, sweat and tears, etc., are all the oceans. Now look at it. You have a body, you are sitting here. Okay? You are sitting for, this is how you do it, you are sitting for contemplation. Try it out, okay? To an extent, to whatever extent you can. Because you don't want to go into energy work and things like that. That is a different thing altogether. Okay? All the whole Brahmanda is right here. All the nadis are the rivers, etc. All the your sweat and this are the oceans. The mountains are your backbone. You're part of the whole universe. Just that much. The whole idea is only to be part of the whole universe, including energy system, etc. Because your prana is coming into the picture. Because where are the chakras but in the prana? So all of it together. This is a form of upasana, to feel connectedness. You can work on it to develop other powers also, that we as Vedantins are not interested in. But if someone wants to do it, they are welcome to do it. It will definitely help mastery of the mind. That's why they are doing it. The energy work, etc. is done to gain a greater mastery of the mind. Okay. Any questions up to now? Or is it clear? Remember, I am not going to give too many details here, as I said. Beg your pardon? See this house. Have you seen a Panchadhatu idol, for example? Various metals. So these dhatus are supposed to be things, inorganic substances. See, in the world there are organic substances. A plant, etc. is organic. Iron, etc. is inorganic. So there are supposed to be 7 main inorganic substances. If you look at modern science, they have made much more detailed thing. Here we took about it Sapta Dhatus, 7 dhatus. They make up the body, etc. Just inorganic material found in your body. Do you not have iron in your body? Who asked this question? Is iron there in your body or not? There, not there. Copper, zinc. Yeah. No, very much there. If you don't have all this, you will have big hormonal issues, okay? Yeah. If iron is not there, you will have to be given blood transfusions and things like that. Yeah. Therefore, Sapta Dhatus. All of them are there in your system. Yeah. They are limiting it to 7. It is not a literal number. It can't be taken as a literal number. Sapta Dhatus. Yeah. 7 main ones. Because even if you modern science, you will say essential minerals, then trace elements you will say, isn't it? Small traces there. Same way here also. 7 main dhatus they took it. So very often Ayurvedic treatment, etc., they will take these into account. Sapta dhatus they will take into account. It's a paradigm. See, you can look at this body in 100 different paradigms. All of it will work up to a point. Because how you look at it, you can deal with it. Remember, this body is not a fixed thing. Though it looks very solid, this, that, etc., it's not a fixed thing. It's a very nebulous entity. It's a very nebulous entity. Even though it seems to be physically solid entity, it is not. So how you perceive it accordingly will function. Your perception to a great extent will change the function. And sometimes it will rebel against all your perceptions and do its own thing. Because we don't know completely what it is about. So you know that there is something there because you can all see it. Then you analyze that thing, that object that you see, according to the paradigm that you have. On the basis of some observations, you form the system. Then theoretically you develop that system with certain logical connections. Now in keeping with that system, you are looking at that thing and saying it is like this, like this, like this, like this. It works. It works. Up to a point. Therefore the same thing can be analyzed with different systems because different paradigms. Finally, you know, body exists. Okay? It's a functioning entity. It's very interesting when Western medicine met the Indo-Chinese Tibetan practices of acupuncture and acupressure. Okay. They said these nadis don't exist. Okay. So this happened about 100 years back. Ip Man was a person who was there. He says, no, these things exist. It may not exist in your system, in our system it exists. And I can demonstrate. He says, I will put these 3 needles on this person's leg. He will not be able to move his leg. And the Western doctors wanted to see that. And he put 3 needles. The guy couldn't shift. There was a temporary paralysis induced into his leg. And then he removed the needles, and within 2 minutes the guy could move his leg. Therefore, it was demonstrable. Certain things like this are demonstrable. But Western medicine will not accept the paradigm because the paradigm of nadis don't exist there. It's outside their paradigm. So they will try to make it like, oh, some nerval block must have taken place. Then you come and tell me what is the nerve that was blocked. Probably this, etc. They will talk now. Because you don't want to accept a system. That's why I wrote the small little few words on the tyranny of science. If you're looking that only science works, it is not true. There are other systems also that work. So these things that he's talking about, the chakras, the nadis, the energy, etc., are non-scientific paradigms. Please don't try to make it scientific. And say this is very scientific, etc. Like some modern gurus, some of them very good in this energy work. Yeah, this guy is very popular figure, very good in what he does, but he also tries to make it scientific. Why? He says experiential. Of course, it's experiential. Nobody is saying it's not experiential. But don't reduce it to only an experience. Don't reduce it. Or try to make this scientific. It is non-scientific. So what does it matter if it is not scientific? Does it work? Yeah, it works. That's good enough. Like, how will science explain that a flesh, something that is made of flesh and bones, can go through a brick or go through a block of wood which is supposed to be harder than this flesh? How will science explain that? And when they took photographs, videos, they found that the block of wood has started breaking before the hand has literally touched it. The hand was necessary, but before the hand touched it, the block of wood started breaking. How do you explain this without using the energy paradigm? How will science explain it? Oh, there is a force being transmitted. For force to be transmitted, there has to be a transmitting medium. The physical structure has to be there. Here, before the physical structure has reached it, it has started breaking. It's a purely non-scientific paradigm. It does not fit into science, and that is okay. There are hundreds of disciplines of knowledge which does not fit into science, and that's all right. It's okay. And if scientists believe that if it does not fit into science, it does not exist, or it's not true, they are living in fool's paradise. A time will come when the society will accept these paradigms, and that time they will say the scientists were primitive in their thinking by not accepting these things. That's what will happen. Whether we are alive to see that happening or not, we don't know, but it will happen in time. So that is what the whole thing is about. So here, what he is doing up to now is your whole physical body is being in the paradigm that existed at that time. This was quite a popular paradigm at the time of Sureshwaracharya. Okay, at that time he is using that to explain your connectedness with the whole universe. Remember, in this whole thing, what are you going to take away? Yeah? Any questions? No. So the whole attempt is to see your connectedness. You cannot see I am everything, you are not being able to take that step. If you are not able to take that step, I am everything, take this step. Take this step. What is that? That you are connected with everything. You are part of the whole. So look at it, what he has done up to now. He has taken two elements. In Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, he started with the lowermost. Prithvi, the physical body, which we saw last time. And this time he has taken, along with the Prithvi, he has taken which? Jalam, Apaha. Because the nadis, etc., are compared to Apaha. Therefore, this is also based on the 5-element model. Okay. It's also based on that only. Therefore, Prithvi and Apaha he has covered. He still has to cover Agni, Vayuhu and Akasha. He still has to cover. Okay? Yeah. So he covers that. Okay? He covers that. Want to see a couple of more verses? Or is enough for today? It's a good point to stop. In fact, I want you all to think over it a bit. You don't have to go too much into the thing. And please don't go about, another thing I have to caution you all. You know, you take anything now, the thing has been corrupted. Don't go about reading books. This is the chakra here. This is how it looks like. This is what the color is. It has got so many petals. Please don't read all that. They'll corrupt your thinking further. Why am I saying that? Because I have seen some people doing this chakra meditations also. Focus on the Mooladhara. This is the chakra. It has got so many petals. It has got so many this. Then what are you doing? You are doing a visualization exercise. Which is fine. You can do a visualization exercise, but you will never see the chakra that way. And if at all you see it, the chakra will not be according to the description. Exactly like how in modern medicine, the doctors here will confirm this. In the medical books, the lungs are described as pink in color, elastic and pink in color. When you dissect an adult body and come to the lungs, especially if he is living in Bombay or Delhi, will you ever find them completely pink? Doctors here can respond. Will you find them pink? Sunita Savla is there, right? Hello? Has she disappeared from the class? Can you all hear me? Then I asked a question, can you answer? When you dissect a grown-up human body to find cause of death, do you find the lungs completely pink in color? Or you have never done a dissection? What is it? Sunita is not there in the class. Sunita Savla is not there. I thought I saw her. Okay, fine. If she doesn't want to respond, fine. I don't know what she's doing in the class when I'm asking her to respond. Anyway. So, you will never find them pink in color. Why? Because of the pollution, etc., your lungs will be more greyish in color. Similarly, when you look at these chakras, etc., you will never find them in the original color they have been described. Therefore, if at all you are going to do some chakra work later on, You have to see them as it is, not what it is described. Therefore, if you read too much upon all these things, it will become a disturbance, it will become a hindrance for your contemplation, if at all you are going to do it. I know that I don't think anyone in the class is really going to contemplate on that. Therefore, what are you going to take it as? Like what I said last time, see that you are part of the whole universe. That much you stick to. That much you stick to, and keep seeing yourself as part of the whole universe. This is part of your contemplative exercise for the week. See your physical body and your prana energy system, because the whole universe is made of energy. There is a low grade vibration right across the whole cosmos. Therefore, and the energy is there in your system also. Your biomedical energies are there. Therefore, in this, keep the whole thing going. Your body and energy is part of the cosmic body and energy. Do this much during the week, and please do it. This is not something to be listened and gone. Then you'll never break the conditioning. You can sit in my class for 20 years and remain the same. So do that, and next class we will deal with the other 2-3 elements that are left behind. We'll deal with that. Okay? Om Tat Sat. Good place to stop.